Well, hello, and welcome back to the channel. We got a few days off, and that was nice. Well, a few days off for me. You guys got your regularly scheduled uploads. But I did take a few days off. I'm feeling refreshed. I'm feeling ready, and it's a good thing because we got some big mad right now. Look at this. Monster Hunter Wilds is destroying the franchise. Angry rant. Oh boy. Oh boy. Nothing else left to do, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into the video.
Because I need to get it off my chest because it's stuck with me ever since I played the beta and I'm absolutely sick of it. Okay, first off, the Clutch Claw. Capcom, why did you think that getting rid of the Clutch Claw was the best option that you could do? Are you just trying to be different just because of the sake of being different? Okay, learning about tenderizing monsters in Monster Hunter World.
Okay, so we're just like straight in. Okay. Um, Here's the deal. If you're heavily reliant on the clutch claw as a mechanic in the game in order to be effective, that says more about you than it does about the game or the developers itself. Um, I'm not trying to be rude. Like, I'm not here to offend anybody or start drama or anything like that. But it's literally a skill diff issue. And you're talking to somebody who, up until Elden Ring came out, the only boss fighty type game that I ever played, uh, was literally Monster Hunter Worlds. Because like the other games I'm trying to think of, they're not really like a monster fighter type game or a big boss, fighter type game. But I mean, after I played Elden Ring, obviously I went back and I played the Dark Souls series, and then I played recently last year. I just played Bloodborne for the first time. That was crazy. Sekiro, I've never played that. That's the I think that's the one that I'm thinking of. I don't think I've. I think that's the one I haven't played. It might be something else, but um, Monster Hunter Rise and stuff. I never played that. Um, So I have been excited. I did play the beta for Monster Hunter Wilds. Fucking loved it. Um, but yeah, I do think that's a skill diff issue. If Clutch Claw is so important for you, as a player, then yeah, it's skill diff.
Was fun. And not only fun, it was rewarding. Okay? You actually feel like a hunter. You know, it's almost like Attack on Titan. I feel like I'm Levi. Okay? That's fun. I feel like a hunter. And not only doing that, but slamming monsters, right? Getting stones or dragon pods or whatever it is and just shooting them into the wall. It's fun and rewarding, man. But no, it's rewarding, it's skill based. Okay, I've got dot points here that I wrote down because I know I'm going to forget. You removed it completely. And then what do we get in return for that? For not having Clutch Claw at all? We get focus mode. Focus mode, Capcom. Well done. You know, honestly, you you are up there. You are, oh my god. You are so smart. I just don't understand why you want to remove. Why would you want to remove one of the most satisfying and tactical things that you could ever do when it comes to monster hunting? Good job. All right, sweet. So now we can only clutch claw things that are in the environment. Stalagmites, stalactites, whatever the fuck they are called, I don't know. The pillars on the roof. That's the only thing we can clutch claw. Things in the environment to help us fight monsters. Good job. That's so rewarding. That's so fun. I'm so tilted.
I mean, that's not like the. I guess I'm not sure like what. But I mean, like I said, I mean, if you're so reliant on Clutch Claw as a mechanic in order to be effective in a Monster Hunter fight, then it's literally skill diff. Um, But I guess I'm trying to figure out what's the other like big drawback? Because when I played right, and my main weapon is a charge blade, so I don't really have to worry about aerial positioning or like anything like that. And I never really cared to play that style of stuff like the insect glaive and stuff like that. So it's not really something I ever had to worry about. Um, I did watch quite a bit of gameplay of like some of the other like more tankier builds. And then I watched somebody play dual blades, but I haven't really seen anybody pulled out the insect glaive yet. So that's like the only one that I can think of that's like super that could benefit way more from the clutch claw being a thing. But I feel like if you're playing the game correctly, Monster Hunter Wilds, this is specific to Monster Hunter Wilds, with the wound system and um and the fact that you have both two loadouts now. Well, not two loadouts, but you have two weapons, primary and secondary. You could take advantage of just about anything, which I'm not even going to run a secondary to be honest. I'm just going to go balls to the wall. Well, no. Maybe if they let me run the same weapon, because then if I want to go hunt something different that I need a different element for, then I would probably run a second charge blade. But other than that, I don't think I'm even going to use the secondary weapon feature. Um, but yeah, and now you have a clash system thing going on that I don't remember ever being a thing in Monster Hunter World. Uh, and like I said, I didn't play Monster Hunter Rise, so you'll have to correct me if it was in that game. But um, the clash little system that they have set up, I can't tell you how many times I literally spent with the monster literally knocked on its side, unable to move. Like, and on top of that, you still have traps. You still have pretty much anything you need to hold a monster in place for a significant amount of time. Um, I can't really think of any like major use for a clutch claw that would make your game experience any better in Monster Hunter Wilds, aside from literally being able to just from farther away snag some loot and bring it back to yourself. I think that's honestly the best feature for clutch clawing, and obviously, being able to maneuver around the world map and whatnot. Aside from that, I can't. Yeah, I have nothing else in my brain that's telling me clutch claws necessary for this specific monster or this. And even then, if it's for something like super specific and can't be generally used to better gameplay, there's no point in having it. It's fat. Just cut it off. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. It's wasted code, wasted space. So that I do agree with. Focus mode, it's pretty. It kind of takes away the clunkiness a little bit. Um, it kind of helps you kind of not just be all over the place. You have somebody like for instance, like an Asmongold. Uh, he was trying out all sorts of different weapons and stuff, and when you do that, if you're not used to every single weapon type yet, or you just literally started like he did playing the beta, he was all over the place. Every clip that I saw of him, and there were good clips of him as well, but um, in the context that I saw these clips, he was pretty all over the place. He was missing swings, missing timing, um, and that sort of stuff. So if he were to have used focus mode for that, then the chances of him swinging off into the wind would have been much lower. But obviously, a lot of people, you could still play freely without focus mode, and I think a lot of people do appreciate the focus mode if it's not something that they are centric in. For example, another OTK person, what's her name, Emiru, she was playing dual blades, and she was using the shit out of focus mode. And when she was deadly accurate, and it was good because she needed it. Let me be honest. I'm not gonna fake and lie to anybody. She needed the focus mode. and it really works. It really works. Like I said, it takes the clunkiness out of the game a little bit. But for somebody like me who started with World and I'm used to the free moving style of the game, that's no issue. Um, yeah, I don't know, not really much else to say about it. Focus mode is not for everybody. It's more for people who are new casuals. They want to get into the game without having so much extra difficulty. Yeah, I think it's fine.
Honestly, focus mode. Okay, this this is like this makes fights feel so slow and sluggish and unrewarding. I don't even know if that's a fucking word. I don't feel rewarded enough, Capcom. Okay, what else do I have here? It forces lock-on mechanics. So instead of feeling like I'm actually doing something, worthwhile, you make me hold down shift on the PC, which is to turn on the focus ability, and I can see the weak points where I've attacked the monster the most. Awesome. That's good to know. But then what do you want me to do? You force me, which is not really hard at all, to hit those weak points in focus mode and let the animation all the while I'm sitting here picking my nose doing fuck all. Games like Destiny 2, I say it all the time. Destiny 2 on Steam. Even I didn't write it down. What's
Any sort of game that has a lock on or focus mode feature is always going to put you in a position where you deal maximum damage to the area that is most effective. So, granted, it takes the gameplay out of your hands. Uh, the reason that exists isn't for people who are used to playing this type of game. It exists to help newer players acclimate to the game. Focus mode is more focus mode, I would say, is more of a band-aid than it is like if you have a wound, right, and it needs stitches, a band-aid will help for a little bit, but obviously eventually it is going to overrun the band-aid and you need to have good enough skill to get past that point, right? Um is essentially what I'm saying. I mean, it's essentially just a cover up to help casuals kind of acclimate to the game, and then you're more so encouraged to play the Monster World style, where you're kind of freely moving, freely looking, and it's based off of your intuition alone, not the game assisting you as far as like aiming, positioning, where best to deal damage to the monster, which they've made even more obvious with the wound system. Is that okay? There's I don't know. We'll take Arkfeld for example, as one of the ones that people are probably going to say is the harder one from the beta. Um, Using him, for example, if you've been smashing his fucking tail in with a fucking great axe or whatever the fuck, change axe or whatever the fuck it's called, um, obviously, you've built up the damage there. It glows red and it's very blatantly obvious, like a stop sign that just basically says, hey, you're doing really well in this spot. Return to this spot, do more damage, and get the monster part for it. And it's a good indicator too if you're farming that you're doing what you need to be doing in order to get the parts that you're looking for. So I don't know. I think it's very cohesive. I think it works really well. And focus mode is, like I said, it's more of a band aid. It's more of a band aid to kind of just get you acclimated. Once you're acclimated, that's when you need to start applying your skills and getting a more free from the focus mode feature. And that's the same thing with like any sort of like lock on feature or assisted lock on feature. Like it's for people who can't aim. That's what it's for.
the other game? Final Fantasy, right? I'm pretty sure Final Fantasy 14. Is it 14? They have DLC that are going on for years, and look how well Destiny 2 is doing still. Even though I think it's not that good anymore. Do you guys think it's not and look how
What are
well
we talking
Destiny
about?
2 is doing still. Even though I think it's not that good anymore. Do you okay? Tell me.
How good is Destiny 2 doing? Bring this over here so I can see it better. Maybe. I don't. It really cropped my window really freaking weirdly. All right, we're gonna go to Steam charts. I'm gonna see how Destiny 2 is doing. Destiny 2. Um, if it'll fucking load, Jesus, come on now. I'm in the middle of a video. Jesus. Yeah, I would say it's doing pretty decent. Pretty decent. God damn it. 316,000 all-time peak. And this is in the last 7 days. Let's look at the last month. Let's see how it's doing the last month. So we got a peak. So it hasn't returned to its main peak at 46,000. Its main peak was back in February at 62,000. And ever since then, it has not returned to that peak. But we do have a bit of a high point here at 46. But it's just steadily gone down. I mean, they've resurged about 5,000 players, it looks like, from its last big peak. So that was back yesterday, actually. It's yesterday. So, yeah, I mean, it's doing okay. And today as of 2 hours ago, 46,000. So, and then obviously we see right here that it's gone up another 1,000. So, it's doing okay. It's doing all right. For a game that's been around as long as it has, it's doing all right. Now, will I think that Monster Hunter Wilds is going to hold numbers like this? Um, I would predict that they probably will. To be honest with you, once the game releases here in a couple days, uh, I do think I do think they will hold the numbers because people will be playing this quite a lot. And unlike the beta, you're not going to get any help furthering yourself in the game. Like you're going to have to grind for it now.
Tell me, did you really think that if you were to keep on doing DLCs for Monster Hunter World, that players would like eventually drop out? No, Capcom, why are you scared of that? This is Monster Hunter World. How successful was fucking Iceborne? Look at Iceborne's success rate. It's almost more successful than the actual bloody game, Monster Hunter World, the base game. Do you know why? Because it pretty much is. Everyone loves the mechanics of Monster Hunter World. Everyone loves that you can clutch claw. Everything that you showed in Monster Hunter World as the base game, people loved. But the problem was there wasn't enough challenges, in my opinion. Okay, it was more story based. You know, Xeno'jiiva as the final boss. That basically, compared to like Fatalis as Iceborne's last boss and Alatreon, or Alatreon, however you pronounce it. Okay, it was more of like a cinematic game.
So what's the I guess I'm wondering like what is I don't know what the argument is here. Is the argument that there isn't enough DLC for it already? Because like I know they have a roadmap or not a roadmap, but like a couple of things planned, pre-planned already as far as like adding in monsters that we are already familiar with. Let's see. I do want to see really quick if I can learn how to type. Let me see where Monster Hunter World is at. So Monster Hunter World is actually still doing fairly decent for as long as it's been out. Well, I don't know why it keeps doing that. Hold on a minute. So this is where they're at right now. That fucking. Here, I'll just move myself down a little bit. So 20,000 playing an hour ago, peaked at 55K. So if we look at the peaks for this, though, the peaks are higher here than it is for Destiny 2. Let's look in the past month. Let's see how it's looking. Okay, so what's this peak? We got a peak of 50K, another peak of almost 60K, 60K. Yeah, so each one of these peaks is beating out Destiny 2, if that's the argumentation. And Destiny 2 is much more consistent with rolling out content. But I do think that some of this has to do with the hype around Monster Hunter Wilds. People are going and playing Monster Hunter World now because they're intrigued about Wilds, so they'll probably play that and then they'll go and uh, maybe switch over to Wilds. I would say that from my experience in the beta, that Monster Hunter Wilds is much more new player friendly than Monster Hunter World. Because it's a lot. Monster Hunter World is a lot for new people. So yeah, I do think they're taking a more player friendly approach, but I highly doubt they're not gonna put DLC out for this game. That's kind of crazy to me. But we'll have to wait and see because the game's not even out yet before they start even thinking about releasing shit. Aside from what they've shown already.
Cinematic boss fights. Iceborne was bloody amazing, and the fact that you did not
He's
decide to
right.
do another DLC or even more DLCs is blowing my mind.
So I disagree with this. I disagree with this heavily. I do think that the best way to approach games, I'm okay with a little bit of DLC content, but I don't want the game becoming live service. So when you're talking about a Destiny 2 versus a Monster Hunter, Destiny 2 is live service. It is a live service game that constantly updating content. It has weekly things that it constantly changes for you. Monster Hunter is not that way. I mean, you have daily logins and that sort of stuff, but none of that is actually like necessary in the game. Whereas Destiny 2 very much is. So that's my only issue with that. Because like Monster Hunter World, I never did any of the daily anything. I didn't do any daily fucking any sort of like daily challenges, daily quests, daily fucking voucher. I mean, aside from like the login screen stuff, I would grab that whenever I played, but for the most part, like I never cared. I never needed to. Like if there was something I wanted, I went out in the world, I killed the monster, I made the armor, I made the sword, I made the whatever it was, and then I fucking went back out in the world and fought something else. So, although the comparison is somewhat fair, I will say it's not necessary enough for Monster Hunter to have consistent content. When you technically did get consistent content, I guess, because you got Monster Hunter World, and then you had Monster Hunter Rise, and then you had the mobile game Monster Hunter Go or something like that, and now we have Monster Hunter Wilds. So they've been busy over there at the Monster Hunter team. They've been very busy. But they do continue to improve things and tweak things to try to find the best balance of both bringing in new players. Essentially, it's the same way with Elden Ring. Elden Ring is the same way. Elden Ring is a newbie friendly game, but it still can give you that Dark Souls like challenge. Um, because the reason why, and it's no different with that game. I mean, they put out one DLC, one banging good DLC, and then they went and started working on Night Rain. So, as much as I see where he's coming from, at the same time, I do think it is better to put out the base game, put out some really banging content to kind of get people, to hold people over, I guess. And then you can move on to the next thing, which is literally their formula from World to now. They've constantly put out new content, but it's just not all in World. Like, yeah. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Or am I just rambling?
I just can't believe you completely abandoned Monster Hunter World and just decided to reboot another game. Okay, let's not even talk about Monster Hunter Rise. I haven't even played it. I haven't even watched the trailer. I just know it's shit. Okay, I have a radar for these things. You can ask my closest friends.
Okay. Well, then you just invalidated your whole opinion. If you're going to make these claims and say you're not putting out any content, you abandoned Monster Hunter World, um, if you're going to make the claims that Monster Hunter World was abandoned, that is a fair claim. Clearly it was. Clearly they weren't going to put out more content for it because they had a lot of shit planned in the future. However, to then go and say that they haven't put out any content when that's all they've done, it just blows my mind a little bit, because if anything, they're putting out more content than most game series have put out in a long time. I mean, look at the fucking. I'm trying to think of like what's like a big one. I can't really think of one right now. There was an example I had in my head, but now it's gone. Uh, but essentially, yeah, essentially saying that there's no new content is kind of crazy, especially if you haven't played Rise. I mean, I'm sure it's not. I don't know, because even I played the fucking Monster Hunter mobile game, and that fucking game's banging, dude. I had a lot of fun playing that game. It's oddly addictive considering it's not anywhere close to Monster Hunter World. But if that's your argumentation for not trying Rise, then that's a different story. My only reason for not trying Rise is because I didn't have a fucking Nintendo, and it wasn't out on anything else yet. It wasn't out on Sony yet, and it wasn't out on Xbox. So I just kind of put it on the back burner, and then there's too many other good games that came out, so I just never got around to it. It's the only reason I haven't played it, but I don't have any opinions about it.
For example, Cyberpunk 2077. I knew before it came out, I was like, this game is going to be completely dog shit and it's not going to be ready. I said that to my mates when we were living together and they didn't believe me. And then what do you know? Everyone talks shit about Cyberpunk for not being ready. It's not, they rushed it. I have a sixth sense for these things, and I just feel like Capcom is doing the exact same thing here. They're just making another game just for the sake of it. Is it all for money? Is it all for money, Capcom? Is that what you're focused on? Right? Who knows? Gemma, a hot anime smithy waifu. What the fuck? What the fuck? That is such a cheap marketing scheme by you. Like, am I the only one who feels that way? Yeah.
Yes, yes, you're the only one that feels that way because the rest of us are fucking men, dude. Not literally. So take it. It's gonna get taken out of context. Fucking whatever. Anyway, point is, everybody wants to see hot chicks in games. Okay, We just don't want to play as hot chicks in games. We want to see hot chicks. We don't want to play as hot chicks. Now, granted, there are exceptions. Okay, that's why Stellar Blade has the community it does. That's why fucking what was that other one with 2B? I haven't played the Near Automata or whatever the fuck it's called. And then there's even that other one that was teased in the PlayStation game reveal with the voice actor of Shadowheart. That one looks sick. I'll probably play that. If I'm being honest, I will probably play that. The only reason I haven't played Stellar Blade right now is because I just don't care to go to my other place, get my PlayStation, bring it here, and then fucking buy it, download it. It's a lot of work. I hate little things. I hate doing little things. Little things annoy me. So I probably won't get to that, but I don't know. Maybe if the community is like up my ass, then probably still won't. Sorry, guys. I don't have a capture card, and I don't plan on buying a capture card. So y'all just have to keep me updated when it comes out on PC, and I'll buy it. But until then, uh, yeah, no, it's common sense. People like hot chicks. It's not hard to figure out. Okay, Comic Con next year is going to be full of people cosplaying a Smithy chick, and that's all they needed to do. And it's not cheap marketing; it's genius marketing. It's going to get people to talk about your game. Was it cool having the Smith that we had back in Monster Hunter World? Sure, but he's fucking forgettable. Like you're not gonna forget this chick because she's actually probably, for most people, including myself, so far from the beta, hottest chick in the game. Easy, easy. It's got that hot waifu mommy energy. That's all you fucking need. And the fact that she can not wield, but make you a badass set of armor and some weapons. Shit, shit. Guarantee you 99% of the people playing, if if you were to be able to pluck into your TV screen and pull her out into real life, fucking 99% of them would 100% pull her out and then marry her ass right there on the spot. Easy, no problem. And it's pretty obvious why. I don't even have to I'm not even going to fucking yeah, like this is
Okay, nice. She looks hot, man. Wow, I'm gonna buy the game. Look at what you did. It's not worth a full price.
also that she's not the main appeal of the game. Obviously, she is an aspect to the game, right? The main appeal of the game is literally running around an open world fighting monsters. And it's closer to an open world now than it has ever been before. Because, like, Monster Hunter World was sort of that way. Like, you did have a decent map size where you could run around on and go, like, place to place on different, like, maps and whatnot, right? But I think they are slowly making it a a a truly open world where it's constantly generating different monsters and you could literally just run from place to place and fight whatever the fuck you want to fight so long as it is out there in the world and available. And I do think that is an interesting concept and that's why a lot of people are drawn to it. Uh and obviously it's not quite there yet. It's got a little ways to go, but I do think that is the route that they're taking, and it'll be fun. It'll be interesting.
Game. You're only making a full price game because it has the title Monster Hunter in it, right? Right. I don't even want to talk about the performance issues, okay? I don't know, look, it's just a beta. It's just a beta. But Capcom, I joined a server, so you can have up to 100 people in this open world, okay? You can have up to 100 people. I joined a server that had about 60 people in it, and my PC almost died, went to heaven, got revived, and I killed it again. Like, my stream, I looked at my VOD, okay? I'll look back at my VOD. I had about 1 frame every 3-4 seconds. That is absolutely fucking disgusting. It took 5 years. 5 years. 5 years, Capcom. It took you 5 years. Oh my god, I can't wait to get into open world. Oh my god, I get into a world, there's 60 people, but oh my god, I can only see about 2 frames of them every 10 seconds. 5 years. What were you?
Is it really that bad? Because like I know my brother, he did say some stuff about like he was fighting like polygons and shit like that. But I never ran into that problem, I guess. I just maybe I got into the beta later than everybody else and they had already fixed it by that point. Um which I would have to go look in my Steam library and even see like when I even booted that game up. But yeah, I didn't have an issue, and that surprises me because I have a fucking piece of trash Intel chip. So the fact that my computer runs at all is a miracle. Um, aside from that, um, there were some performance issues. I'm not gonna sit here and glaze and pretend that Monster Hunter is perfect and there's it can do no wrong, right? It did have performance issues. I did have some latency and some lag issues with Monster Hunter. As far as graphically though, I didn't really have too much. Yeah, I didn't really have too much graphical issues, but I did see a lot of like crazy shit where like somebody was like close to like a rock and stuff, and then like the one side of the rock was like the generated world and the other side of the rock was the ungenerated world, and it was fucking insane. So obviously nowadays games are coming out buggier and buggier, so I'm not surprised at it. Is it okay? No. Obviously these games they need more time to cook in the oven. They need to not be forced out so fast. We should have longer betas, more early access. Uh, and another one, even though it's a small one, people who pre-order should get the game a lot earlier than the general public. I never understood why, because like that's how it used to be. That's how I remember it. Used That's how I used to remember it being, was that if you pre-ordered a game, you would have it like a week before everybody else. So by the time everybody else got the game, and you should be rewarded for that because more often than not, pre-orders are more expensive than the actual base game is going to be for the general public. So, and it was a nice way to kind of, it's kind of like tipping, right? Like generally speaking, like who gives a fuck about tipping, right? But um when you do get that one waiter or like that one person at that fast food joint that or like Subway for example, I know Subway does tipping. uh there was one time there was one time back in Hot Springs where I used to live. um there was one time that I went into the Subway there and the fucking guy uh did a rap, a literal rap, an entire song for me, and it was hilarious. Because like they were listening to the music, so I brought it up. I was like, "Hey, you like rap?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, I love this shit." And I was like, "All right, do a song." And he fucking did a song. You know what I did? I gave him a fucking $100 tip. $100 cash right there. Handed it. Okay, and I'm not even trying to flex or anything like that and pretend like I got money, but I very much appreciated that because it was a true experience. It was exceptional experience, exceptional service. The guy was smiling the whole time. He was truly enjoying himself at his job, man. And I was like, you know what? Nah, man, I got to do something different for this one. So I gave him a nice fat tip. Normally, I don't give any tips at all at Subway. I don't give a fuck. Okay. Um, I don't give tips for what you're expected to do is what I'm saying. But if you go beyond expectations, then that's when it's like, okay, okay, you know what? Let me treat you a little bit. But yeah, anyway, a little soft rant about wanting pre-orders to be more exclusive to people who are willing to spend the extra in order for that to go back to the developer and kind of it's a little show of appreciation both between the developer and the people who are vastly enjoying and wanting to enjoy the game. Uh, Aside from that nonsense, performance issues definitely a thing. Definitely a thing. There's too many lines on the graph to say otherwise. So obviously, with the beta being a thing, you would think it's a little farther along, but when you're doing anything online, it usually doesn't break. And flip this if you want, but on the 28th, when everybody is online, that shit is gonna break. There's gonna be all sorts of tearing issues and fucking uh people like glitching out of the world and fucking networks not quite wanting to run, servers getting overloaded. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's an online game. That's how it works. Okay. It's to be expected, okay? Especially a game like this that I do think is going to be bigger on launch than the previous titles were. So, it is something to be aware of. It's more likely to be broken than a single player game. But as long as they're responsive and they listen to their players, I really don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. They'll be able to get in, they'll be able to patch, they'll be able to maintain what they got and then continue to grow it. So, you know, obviously though, we should keep them at a higher standard, but also they should have larger timelines to get these games done. Obviously, if you're on some Ubisoft shit, obviously, then like if it takes you 10 years, 10 plus years to pop out Skull and Bones, let's be honest. Let's be honest, it's a waste of everybody's fucking time. But when you have somebody like a From Software or a Capcom who is generally making good games, it's okay to give them a little bit more time to kind of get that sucker nice and polished.
What are you doing in those 5 years? What are you doing in those 5 years that you could have done for Monster Hunter World?
Also, I do want to say that they've put out a lot of content in 5 years. This is what I want to go back to. You're saying they abandoned Monster Hunter since World when that's not the case. They've done nothing but put out Monster Hunter content since Worlds. And now we have Monster Hunter Wilds, which they also were working on probably at the same time, if not, you know, right after the release of Rise or whatever the fuck, where they really pushed it. So I just don't want people pretending like they weren't fucking busy. I mean, they were busting ass.
I said this in my live stream review. Fireborn, Iceborne. No, we already did Iceborne. Fireborn, Godborn, freaking Skyborn, freaking Tundraborn. Bloody fuck me up the arseborn. Like I don't know. I don't know.
He's so stuck on this DLC thing. There's so many games that don't even get sequels, let alone DLC. And you had a fantastic game that got a fantastic DLC that was followed by another good game that was followed by another game that was followed by a mobile game that was followed by now a new game with already pre-planned monsters to be added to the game in the coming uh amount of time, like coming month or something like that. I'm assuming after they adjust and tweak things and probably have some patches and stuff like that. So I just don't see the argument. I don't see the argument. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know why you're so stuck on it.
Anything. I feel like Capcom thought, you know what, we see Destiny 2, we see other games that bring out DLC over the years, and the game and the players dramatically and like increasingly go down at a slope. Listen to me.
I mean, they're not wrong though. Like they're not wrong. Like we just looked at you can go back earlier in the video, we looked at Monster Hunter World and we looked at Destiny 2. And Monster Hunter World has higher peaks then Destiny 2. And Destiny 2's continues to falter and go down. So they're not wrong. And it does make a resurgence, but the point is, generally speaking, it will eventually die. But the only thing that's missing for Destiny 2 is another game that's like Destiny 2 to release, and then people will completely abandon Destiny 2 the same way that what was that other Marvel game before Marvel Rivals? There was a Marvel game that everybody was playing, and Overwatch actually. Overwatch is another example where both of those communities left and started playing Marvel Rivals, and now Marvel Rivals is a massive game. So, I mean, times do change, things do swing. Granted, um, as far as like daily player peaks, um, yeah, daily player peaks, Monster Hunter World was still beating out Destiny 2, and as far as like the past month, because that's as far back as we went. Um, but like I said, that probably has a little bit to do with the fact that Wilds is around the corner, so people who aren't into it and want to get into it, maybe they got access to the beta. They're like, "Hey, I want to hurry up and play some Monster Hunter World before I get into Wilds because I never played it before." Blah blah blah. So they might have had a little bit of number padding from that, but I don't think it's enough to be significant to send it in Monster Hunter World's favor over Destiny 2. But yeah, I mean, eventually it's gonna get old, and that's coming from somebody who did play Destiny 2. I played shit out of Destiny 2. Uh, in me and my brother and his mates that were playing it, it kind of just fell off for all of us. We all moved on. We all found different games.
Listen to me, Capcom. Do you genuinely think that if you kept on bringing out DLCs for Monster Hunter fucking World, that players would dramatically decrease and you would lose more money?
So I'm wondering where this is coming from. Did Mon Y'all gonna have to let me know. Did Capcom put out a statement saying that they weren't gonna put any more DLC out for Monster Hunter World because they were afraid of losing players, or was it simply just a obvious like, oh, okay, well we're moving on from this and we're gonna start looking to the future sort of thing? Because as far as I remember and I recall, I do not remember Capcom putting out any sort of statement saying that we don't want our player base, or we don't want our time and money being wasted spent trying to keep Monster Hunter World alive. Um, because as far as I know, once they put out Iceborne, they were pretty straightforward with the fact that we're looking toward the future. Uh, and this is going to be like the last like major updates, and not like a Cyberpunk 2077 last major update because it's still getting monthly updates, which is weird to me. Um, they I don't know. CD Projekt Red needs to come out and say something about it on like what their actual plans with Cyberpunk is, because I personally am getting annoyed because I modded my Cyberpunk. So now every time they fucking update it, I have to go in, tweak all the mods, make sure everything still works, and if it doesn't work, I have to figure out what isn't working about it and if the modder is going to be updating it or if I have to remove it or what the fuck's going on. So, yeah, CD Project Red, if you're watching this, put out a statement, please. Goddamn.
No. No. You would get more players. Okay, this is coming from someone.
Also, it 100%, like, it 100% would get left in the dust. I'm just saying. Not trying to be that guy, but there were some pretty damn good boss fighting games that came out after Worlds. Okay? Several that would have easily taken that market away from Capcom. So they were smart to move away from it and kind of step back and then come back with another game. Like, what a dumb move to try to keep the game alive when you had. Let's see. Let's figure out. Okay, so it came out in 2018 was the release date for Monster Hunter World. Elden Ring came out in 2022, so all the players right there are already gone, left. When did Sekiro come out? 2019. There you go. Players left there as well. Black Myth Wukong, players left here as well. What other boss fighter type games came out that were massively successful? I don't know if there's any other ones that come to the top of my head that are like, oh, they definitely lost players to that. But I mean, those are just a couple of the games that came out with boss fighting styles that were massively successful and would have 100% stolen Monster Hunter's fucking player base.
Someone who's like a seasoned Monster Hunter World fanboy, okay? I don't even want to look at Rise because Rise started as a fucking console game, as I'm pretty sure from memory, and then they just put it onto the fucking PC because they wanted, you know, they knew that the players of Monster Hunter World were not playing it as much anymore because they weren't bringing out any fucking DLCs for one, but because there's been a long gap in between, and then people go, oh my god, Monster Hunter Rise, let's get it on PC already. So they did it, and then it's fucking dog shit, right? It's dog shit.
I
Like,
never
fuck
played it,
me,
so I don't know.
man. So do you really think players would not buy your DLC? Because I'll fucking tell you right now, Capcom, we would.
Okay, we're just ranting about the same shit, it seems like. So, let's see. Out of touch developers.
Top of my head, but there's so many situations where there's a game, people go, oh my god, this game's so good, and then the developers go, hey, you know what, let's do another game, all right, a sequel, and people go, this is not the bloody same game, this isn't the same fucking game that I fell in love with, and then they go back to the first game. How many times has this happened?
So, I would understand more if there was more of an outrage about the game, but pretty much unanimously across the board, Wilds, even in its beta and early review copies, has an 8 or higher pretty much across the board. And there's many, many people who are super, super excited for this game. Like, that includes me. For gaming, for our video game of the week for this week, it is Monster Hunter Wilds, as you guys probably saw in the post or not or whatever. Um, and it's probably going to be like a 5 hour long fucking video because, yeah, I mean, come on, let's be honest. um, and a lot of people already have this game up for Game of the Year because they don't think that there's anything else that's going to come out that's going to beat Monster Hunter Wilds. Um, personally, if GTA 6 comes out, it's 100% getting Game of the Year just out of just how iconic the game is and that series. It's 100%. It's such an anticipated game. It's almost guaranteed it's going to be Game of the Year. So I do think Monster Hunter Wilds is going to lose to that, but if GTA 6 does not come out this year, it honestly has a good fucking chance to be Game of the Year. Um so out of touch developers is kind of, I don't know. And anytime that you experiment with a game, people obviously are going to have opinions about it, but uh it's not far enough away from the other games for me to say they completely changed up the formula and it ruined the game, blah blah blah. When majority of the game is still just like Monster Hunter World for the most part, minus a few different features and systems that were implemented. But generally speaking, almost everything else is pretty fucking similar gameplay wise, as far as like how it feels. Yeah, honestly, I would say it even feels better than Monster Hunter World did because Monster Hunter World was very clunky compared to this, and the only thing that hasn't really changed that I thought they would change was like the UI for like the menus and shit. I thought they would adjust that a little bit to make that more like new player friendly, but they pretty much stuck to their roots with that, which is fine. It's whatever, you know. I'm used to it, so I don't care, but for a new player, you know, it might be a little eh, they might be a little lost.
When are developers going to learn? When are companies in the gaming world going to learn? I feel like people who work for these fucking companies aren't players. They don't understand how
Also, it has been stated before between multiple different developers and players that neither of them know what each other wants. Like there's such a massive disconnect between developers and players, but the difference between a good developer and a bad developer is the developer is going to make a game that they think that they themselves would enjoy playing, right? And generally speaking, when you put that amount of effort and passion into a game, most likely it's going to turn out to be pretty fucking good and most likely generally well received. But when you take that game and then you take, um, what would be an example of this? Dragon Age Veilguard. When you take that game and then you turn it into some perverted worldview and you're using it for messaging and it's not anything that's like truly concrete, like what a video game should have been, then obviously, you know, that's, yeah, it doesn't end well. And we know that because several studios are being let go and shut down and um I'm saying if the developers here didn't know what their players wanted, and I'm not saying that there aren't developers who do know what players want. I mean, somebody, there's fucking what the hell's that game called? PoE 2, Path of Exile 2. The developers for Path of Exile 2 are very in tune with the community, more so than any other developer that I know of currently right now. Aside from maybe Larian Studios, they're very good about being in tune with their communities as well. That's why Baldur's Gate 3 was such a massive success. Um, Other than that, I can't really think of anything else on that side of the fence anyway. But as far as like somewhat toward the middle, there's that's where most of your developers are going to be. I mean, they're just going to make something that they think is good, and um, if it is good, it'll be well received. If it's not good, it'll be very much not well received. And considering how well received Monster Hunter Wilds is right now, even before the launch of the game, it's pretty obvious that the developers do know what the players want, and the players are reciprocating that behavior to the developers. Um, Aside from this guy.
players think and feel. How many times have you heard the community say, make another DLC? Am I the only one who thinks that way? That's pretty much
I mean, as far as like these games go, though, I mean, the Monster Hunter World is dead. I mean, it's been dead for a long time compared to like pretty much any other game. I mean, you even had what was that like Dragon's Dogma 2? It's a decent game. It didn't really end well because it had no sort of extra content at all. But yeah, as far as the game goes, and it does have like some underlying like gameplay issues, which was what really killed the game. Because like it just got boring. It got insanely boring. Whereas like Monster Hunter World was fun and new every single time, and I do think Wilds will continue to do that. And it does come down to like a kind of credit system for me. So like From Software probably has like the best credit out of every fucking developer that I know right now, or studio, because of how insanely fucking good uh their games have been. Now Night Rain's kind of up in the air. A lot of people are fairly iffy about Night Rain. They don't really know if they like it or if they hate it. Right now, personally, I honestly think it would have been a better situation if they would have just had a bunch of pre-made characters and they just did your typical battle royale style thing and they just sprinkled in bosses just to fuck with people. And kind of put them in situations where you can either fight the boss or you can fight the other players. I think that would have been more interesting than what they ended up doing because most people who play BR type games, they're not in it for the long haul. They're in it for the short, quick game. Let's get in, let's fucking rush through like whatever it is that we have to do in order to win, face the final team, may the best man win type shit. Uh because a lot of those games don't really reward people for sitting around anymore. Back in the day, and maybe that's still the case on like Fortnite or something, but you used to be able to sit the whole game and just let everybody do the hard work for you and then come out with a fucking like a level 2 or level 3 shotty and just one shot somebody and then just call it a day. But like, I don't know if that's the case anymore. I haven't played a BR and I don't know how long. But yeah, I don't I don't really know what else to say about this. I guess I'll hear his final thoughts.
Pretty much all I wanted to say. Capcom, you need to reevaluate your fucking decisions because this isn't unacceptable.
I don't
Your
think so.
game is going to fail. It will fail. Just like Rise did.
Let's see. My best friend here. Okay, we look at so Monster Hunter Rise had an all-time peak of 230K. Let's see. Oh, you guys don't see it. There you go. So Monster Hunter Rise 230K. We all see that. Okay. So if we go back to Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter World for an all-time peak 329. And I wonder, let's look at this. Okay, so they don't have numbers for the beta yet on here. That's what I was looking for. Um, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I generally don't think so. I do think it is going to do better than World. If I had to kind of, if you're pointing a gun at me and saying, is it going to do better or worse? I'm picking better.
Okay, you can say Rise was successful all you want, but guess what? You made another fucking game for a console instead of a PC. Right? That's another fucking issue I have with you.
They're always going to make. Wait, what? They always make games for console more than PC. 100% of games are made for console before PC. The reason why is because it's much more technical and annoying to make games for PC than it is for console. Console, you deal with one set of hardware that's practically the same for both Xbox and PlayStation, minus Nintendo, because they decided to be stuck in the past for whatever reason. Um, so they always make the game for that, and then they port it over to PC after they do a bunch of tweaking and stuff to adjust to the fact that PCs are much more technical, and you're literally one component away from having either a good or a bad or a decent PC at all times. So that's why it's like, what are we even talking about? Like, everything is console made first. And it's just like, if you look at, okay, let's actually pull up some numbers here. Let's see if we can get some numbers. It's kind of a tough question to narrow down. Okay. Okay. So, for comparison's sake, let me pull this one back up. This is how daunting of a task. Oops, wrong one. This is how daunting of a task it is, right? So, I don't know if I said this, but there are less people in the world that have a console than that have a PC. But here's the problem. In 2020, there was an estimated 1.75 billion PC gamers worldwide, up from 1.5 billion PC gaming users in the previous year. So right here, it shows that PC is the utmost big, biggest platform on the planet. Okay, as far as gaming goes. But if I were to do this, let's do this. So if I look up gaming PCs, I'm just gonna slowly scroll through. These are all different PCs, all different prices, all different hardware in each one of these. You know how hard it is to make a game that is going to be perfectly compatible with all the different hardware out here? Okay. Okay, so let's go back up. Look at that. Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S. That's it. Oh, look at that. One PlayStation. That's all you have to spec for. You have to spec for one PlayStation and two Xboxes. And even then that might even be going away. Oh, then I didn't even cover this. But you also have PC handhelds that you also have to account for when you're making a PC port. So why the fuck would I waste my time making a game for PC and tripling my development time when I could be making a game for one Xbox or two and one PlayStation with this almost the exact same specs. So yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. But I'm just pretty much done with this video. Um yeah. So all in all, I pretty much disagree with majority of what he said here, and also went on some random tangents and rants this whole time myself. So, you know, y'all be liking these fucking hour plus long videos anyway, so you guys can deal with it, not me. That's gonna be it for me though today. Keep your eyes peeled, right? So on the 27th, either well, probably the morning of the 28th, you'll probably see a 5 hour long video of me spending my entire afternoon playing Monster Hunter Wilds. And maybe I'll do some initial thoughts. I probably won't. I'll probably wait, and maybe I'll do my own game review the week after, so I've had more time to really get into the game uh off off recording. So other than that, that's it. I appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe. If you liked his video, go like and subscribe. If you didn't, then I don't know, go jerk off or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting out of here. I'm tired. Uh, from you know, tired from being tired. You guys ever feel that way? I don't know. Maybe